Hey guys, welcome to another episode of The Completionist. For this episode, guys, I'm going to do something a little different. I think I'm going to take a page out of Erica Zabo's channel. For the 4.5, almost 5 years that I've been doing this YouTube channel, I mostly stuck the majority of my content, towards video gaming and the type of gaming that I enjoy the most, which is JRPGs and the anime style game genre. But for this episode, guys, what I wanted to do is I actually wanted to take the time and talk to you about what some of my favorite anime is of all time. Uh, the reason why I wanted to do this video series is that, anime has played a very important part in my life. And if it really wasn't for the anime exposure that I had, as a teenager and as a young adult, I probably wouldn't love JRPGs, as much as I do. And, I have a very peculiar, anime taste. Um, my anime taste, differs, from a lot of other people. When some people ask me what my favorite anime is, a lot of people have never heard of it before. Um, and in a way, that's kind of interesting because, like I said, taste is subjective. What's appealing to one person can definitely not be appealing, to another person. So what I want to do for this video, guys, is that I just wanted to talk about, my history with anime. And if you see in front of me, I actually have a total of 8 VHS tapes. So this is going to be the first episode of a series that I plan on doing, and this episode is going to be the VHS edition. Because before I even started collecting video games, I had a very extensive, VHS anime library. But unfortunately, that collection's been gutted and sent to the thrift stores or to the Salvation Army. But but I was allowed to hold on to some of the anime titles that mean most to me, and I just wanted to share with you what those titles were. But before I start, guys, I just wanted to give you my very small history with anime, and my history with anime comes from a very unexpected source. You have to understand that throughout my childhood, I lived in a very small fishing outport community, like less than 500 people, in a very remote part of the province. And you have to understand that, getting access to anime was very hard. My first memory of, even enjoying anime, even though I didn't know what it was at the time, was I remember that we didn't even get cable television in our community until 1989 or 1990, and I was like 9 or 10 years old at the time. So if you wanted to watch a cartoon, you had to go to the local video store, and you had to pick out a VHS, cartoon that you wanted to see. So one of the first animes that I actually watched as a kid was the original Robotech, the original Macross saga with Rick Hunter and Lisa Hayes and those cast of characters. And that was literally, one of the very first anime that I actually watched. But, as I gotten older, 12, 13, 14 years old, I slowly got exposed to, like, more anime. Even though I didn't know it was anime at the time, like Samurai Pizza Cats, The Jungle Book. And basically around 1995, that was when North America got its real first taste of anime, especially with shows such as Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z. And watching those shows when I was like 15 to 16 years old just made me realize that, I absolutely love this art style. I love these cartoons. Every time that I came home from school, I had to watch them. I remember Dragon Ball Z used to come on YTV 8 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday morning. When you were a teenager, when you were 15 or 16 years old, you were probably hungover, but I had to force myself, to wake up to wake up just to make sure I would catch the next episode of Dragon Ball Z, because I was completely blown away by that series when I first watched it. And you got to understand that, I had a very extensive, anime VHS collection. It was one of the first things that I actually started to collect. I had other interests at the time. I used to collect hockey cards. I used to collect Hardy Boy books, stuff along those lines. But, when I started to get exposed to anime, I knew that this was something I was really going to enjoy. So one thing that I used to do, between the ages of like 15 and 22, is that I used to go to all the video stores in my community and in the town next over once a month, just to see if they would sell off any of the VHSs that they had, in which, if I was lucky, one of them was an anime title, because every video store I used to check, I would find an anime title on the shelf just completely at random, and I would ask them, can I buy this? Obviously, they couldn't give me an answer straight away. They had to call their supplier or distributor, but thankfully they were really nice, and anytime I asked to buy an anime from one of the local video stores or convenience stores, they would actually let me have it. And some of the titles that I actually was lucky enough to find it in a video store was stuff like Venus Wars and Project A-ko and stuff along those lines. But even though I grew up on shows like Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon, some of my first exposure to anime was of the very violent and mature variety. And the reason why I say that is because I vividly remember when I was like 16, 17 years old, I was watching a late night movie around 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the morning. And it was pretty close to my birthday. My birthday's on June the 25th, so this was sometime in early June. And at around 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the morning, Columbia House had a commercial, and they were talking about, we are going to start to release anime. You can sign up for it. Basically you buy the first anime for $5, and that was Akira, the Streamline dub, not the Pioneer dub, the actual original dub for that film. And when I seen that, I just said, I gotta take advantage of this, because I don't get a chance to come across anime on VHS very often. And basically what it was is that you would buy the first tape for $5, and then every other tape afterwards was like $22, $23. And I asked my mom, listen, I really want this, even though I was completely unaware of what type of anime they were going to show, or that they were going to send me. I just assumed that it was probably going to be kiddie stuff or something along those lines. It's like I said before, the first anime that they actually sent me was Akira. And thankfully my mom was nice enough that she actually signed me up for that Columbia House deal. And once a month I would get an anime, but at that time I had no idea how violent some of the stuff was going to be when I actually got it, because some of the anime that Columbia House sent me was not only Akira, but it was Barefoot Gen, the original Vampire Hunter D, the original Fist of the North Star movie, 3x Three Eyes, Tales of the Wolf, and a really personal favorite of mine, The Professional, Golgo 13, and basically seeing those kinds of anime for as violent, and it had a lot of swearing, a lot of nudity, stuff like that. It was stuff that I had never seen before, but it never turned me off from the anime genre. I was actually more interested in seeing more stuff like it. I even remember when I was going on 18 years old, a new Canadian channel had started up called Space the Imagination Station. And every late night on Friday, they used to show anime from U.S. Manga Corps. And it was actually through Space the Imagination Station that I actually came across my favorite anime of all time, which is actually one of these VHSs that I'll talk about later. And eventually Teletoon, over Christmas time, they used to show anime from Manga Entertainment as well. Because one thing you got to understand is that like my interest in anime really took off, in the 1990s. And it was really thanks to two companies that really helped supply and publish a lot of the anime that was exposed to the North American market. And those companies are Manga Entertainment and U.S. Manga Corps. And I have a really soft spot for a lot of U.S. Manga Corps releases. But with regards to my anime taste, guys, like especially within the last 5 or 6 years, I haven't watched as much anime as what I would have liked to. I've been very career focused, on my job. But within the last year, I've been trying to catch up on a lot of anime because my taste in anime is very different from like a lot of other people. I just don't listen to what other people tell me and just stick to the popular series or what other people deem as good. For me, I'm willing to give any anime a try because I understand that taste is subjective, and to a lot of the hardcore anime fans, I already break one of the golden rules anyway, and that is I prefer my anime English dubbed instead of subtitled. Now, a lot of hardcore anime fans will be, well, that's fucking blasphemy. How can you like that? You're not a true anime fan. If you don't like stuff in its original audio. And listen, like I don't like anime. I don't prefer English dub just to prove a point. It's what I prefer. If you like subtitled anime, all the power to you. But I prefer dubbed. Is it better? Not really. It's just what I prefer. It's one of the reasons why I avoid like nerd fandom, because there are just some people that just take this stuff just way too seriously. And I just want to sit down and just enjoy a good film or a good series. That's all I want to do, because right now what I'm in the process of doing is I found a couple of sites that actually show a lot of older anime. So I'm actually going through anime in alphabetical order, and to try to slowly give every anime series a try. And I'm actually coming across a lot of hidden gems, stuff that I never hear people talk about that I've actually enjoyed. And there are some series that that people love that I don't really like. So literally, guys, that's my very small history with anime. So what I wanted to do, guys, is that I wanted to share with you what some of my favorite animes are, and these are animes that I've kept on VHS format. These are all original. These are stuff that I bought or was given to me when I went to university, or when I was in high school and stuff along those lines. Some of them are very popular, others are not. So anyway, let's get started. So anyway, first anime. It's my favorite animated film of all time. I love this anime a lot. A friend actually bought this for me on a whim, because I had a friend, that was in university. He lived in a much bigger city than what I did, so he had access to a lot of anime, and basically I had looked up, websites, from Manga Entertainment, US Manga Corps, and I just picked something at random, not knowing what it was. And I asked my friend to pick me up this title, not knowing what it was going to be or anything along those lines. And that's Satoshi Kon's animated psychological thriller, Perfect Blue. And this is my favorite anime film of all time. The reason why I love this film so much is that usually when it comes to anime, a lot of anime is based in the realms of fantasy and science fiction. They would literally do stuff that you couldn't do, live action and stuff like that. But at this time, I was getting into psychological thrillers, I was getting into horror movies. And when I watched this film, I was so amazed of how they could take a storyline that you could easily make a live action movie for and just turned it into a very serious anime. And they made it so enjoyable, so intriguing. I felt like I was watching, literally watching like a real movie that, that wasn't a cartoon. And I consider this an excellent psychological thriller to put up, with some of the best, like Seven and stuff like this. And there's just so many things that I absolutely love about this film. I love the music, I love the characters. I think the English dub for this is absolutely amazing. And and this movie has a huge plot twist. The main character has a hard time knowing the difference between what is real life and and basically what is fantasy, I guess, or because she's a pop idol that basically makes the transition into becoming an actress, and she has a hard time determining what is real and what is fake. And this has a lot of plot twists in it. You won't see the ending of this anime coming. And it's for that reason alone that the fact that something that you would expect out of a live action film, that they took it and they turned it into a beautiful, mesmerizing anime, is one of the reasons why I love this anime so much. And it was released by Manga Entertainment in 1999. This movie is one of the first anime I've ever owned on VHS. I've already mentioned this at the beginning of the video, and that is the first VHS that Columbia House sent me, and that is Akira. The Streamline Pictures dub, or the Orion dub, where Cam Clark, or he uses his alias in this film as Jimmy Flinders, does the voice of Kaneda, and Cam Clark is known for doing the voice of Liquid Snake. This was probably the first mature anime that I've ever watched, and it just blew me away. I watched this when I was like 16 or 17 years old, and this was my first exposure to anime that was very mature, very bloody, very violent, and stuff along those lines. And this anime left such a great impression on me. A lot of people consider it, a timeless anime classic, and I will agree with them. I do think this is one of the most important anime ever made. This anime really helped establish itself in North America. And just everything about this anime, from the characters to the storyline to how it was animated, it's just a beautiful, timeless classic. And the fact that that this was one of the first anime VHSs that I've ever owned, from Columbia House, go figure. And it's just something that I had to keep, because this was literally my first exposure to very violent, very mature anime. And it's just simply going to be one of those timeless classics that everybody has probably already seen, and for the most part, people have enjoyed. I would kill for the opportunity to see this movie in theater, because I'm sure watching this movie with theater surround sound would be an unbelievable experience. But it's, as I said before, the fact that this was one of the first anime VHSs that I've ever owned, there's no way that I'm ever parting with this, ever. It's just way too important to me. And it's like I said before, I actually do prefer the Streamline Pictures dub over the Pioneer dub, because this anime has been re-released under Pioneer a couple of years, or quite a few years after this release. The third anime is literally an anime that helped me get into anime style video games. Because at the time that I started getting into anime, I was playing video games at the time. And this film was brought to my attention, in an article in Game Fan or some other video game publication. And when my brother had a sleepover with a couple of his schoolmates, I think my brother was only like 11 or 12 at the time. He asked me to go to the video store to actually rent a couple of movies for like him and his friends. They wanted action movies, bloodbaths, horror movies, that kind of thing. And I had no idea that this movie had even been released. I knew it existed, I just didn't know when it was going to come out. But this anime helped me get into anime style video games. But believe it or not, this anime even got me slightly into industrial music. And that anime is Street Fighter II, the animated movie. When I watched this for the first time when I was like 16 years old, um, I thought this was one of the most beautiful anime I've ever watched. Because I knew all the characters, and to like see them on an animated film absolutely blew me away. I didn't let my brother know that I actually had this. I actually wanted to save this film all to myself because you know like I was so excited to see it. When I seen the article that that they were doing an animated movie on this video game, I was completely excited. And obviously, every guy will admit, with this movie, you hear about a Chun-Li shower scene, go figure. But this isn't the original VHS movie that I actually rented. I actually bought this, from a video store, when I moved to a bigger town to go to college. But this has always remained a very important anime to me, because if it really wasn't for this anime, I probably would have never got into anime style video games. And when I talk about industrial music, this movie actually exposed me to KMFDM. And the song that's played in the Chun-Li versus Vega fight, which in all honesty I think is the best fight in the entire movie, and the fact that they were playing Ultra, perfect song for that fight. Everything fitted just so well. I think the English dub for this is incredibly strong, incredibly enjoyable, and I know I use the term all the time, but it is a timeless classic. And usually, a lot of anime that makes the transition from a video game to an actual anime doesn't really do that well, but this is one of the few exceptions, and I think this movie does a good job of representing the video game series really well, and it will always remain a personal favorite of mine. So if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you do, but in all honesty, I'm sure most Street Fighter fans have probably already seen this movie, but it's as I said before, it will be a timeless classic. So that's it when it comes to movies. Now we have very small series, or OVAs, or something along those lines. This is actually one of my favorite series of all time. This isn't as enjoyable as its original series, but it's something that I absolutely love. And it comes from Manga Entertainment as well. And that's Masamune Shiro's New Dominion Tank Police. Because for those of you that don't know, the original Dominion Tank Police is my favorite anime of all time. And that anime I was exposed to watching it on Space the Imagination Station back in 1998. And when I'd watched both OVAs of that anime series, and the fact that I found out that they had a new Dominion Tank Police, I actually bought these VHSs, in my first year of college, because I absolutely had to see it. And I'm just reading the back. I just want to see when it got released. It got released in 1995 by Manga Entertainment. And this series is just incredibly comical, and I just absolutely love it. A lot of people consider New Dominion Tank Police, the Puma twins and stuff like that, but it's just really hilarious. I have a soft spot, for a lot of the English voice cast of this series, because a lot of the people who voice this in English also voice the original Dominion Tank Police as well. And it's just a perfect blend of action, comedy. There's a little bit of cyberpunk aspect to it, but it's just really enjoyable. And I actually like it. I think the music in it is, really solid. Because when I got into college, in 1998 or university, I had access to a lot of anime VHS, and and seeing a lot of different types of anime as well, because my local university had an anime society that I used to be a part of. And like I said, a new Dominion Tank Police. It's only 6 episodes, but it's just incredibly enjoyable. I do consider, the first 2 episodes, to definitely be the funniest. I do love Leona Osaki's English voice in both the original Dominion Tank Police and new Dominion Tank Police as well. And a lot of people haven't heard of this series, and it comes out during a time of anime that I really enjoy, which is between 1985 and 1999. And there's just a certain animation style that they use during that time that I really enjoy. But it's like I said before, this anime is just a perfect blend of action and comedy, and it can have a few sad moments as well. The soundtrack for this anime is really solid. So anyway, if you're willing to give something obscure a try, like I said, it's only 6 episodes. You can blast through it in an evening. So I personally highly recommend it. Now, the last 2 VHSs, it shouldn't really be no surprise. I try to keep these VHSs as pristine as I can, and it is my favorite anime of all time, and it is the original Dominion Tank Police, Part 1 and Part 2. It's technically 4 episodes, and it was released by US Manga Corps. Where's the year? The original Japanese version was released in 1989, and I guess Central Park Media US Manga Corps released this in 1992. I doubt there will be another anime out there that will break this anime ever. This will remain my favorite anime of all time. Because you have to understand that, when I watched this, I even remember, the first time I even watched this for the first time. I watched this on my graduation night. Graduated from high school. I wasn't really much of a party animal. I wasn't really much of a drinker, when I finished high school. So instead, what I did after my graduation ceremony, I got some fried chicken and went over to my sister's house, and she had a satellite dish. And on the satellite dish, it was Space the Imagination Station. And at 1 o'clock in the morning, they showed Dominion Tank Police Part 1. And I just fell in love with it. I don't know what it was about it. Like, the original Dominion Tank Police is much more cyberpunk than, the new Dominion Tank Police. But there was just so much in this anime that I actually really enjoyed. I wish I could explain it. I really wish I could. I love the English dub for this. I love the music for this. This has a very addictive English opening song. The English opening song for this is a lot different than the Japanese opening song. But the ending song of Dominion Tank Police has always remained one of my favorite anime tracks of all time. And it's only 2 minutes long, and it's called I Adore You. But at the time, it was literally one of the most beautiful pieces of music, I ever listened to. And it still has the same heart as New Dominion Tank Police, but the music in this really did something for me. It had a perfect blend of action. It's definitely much more hilarious than like a New Dominion Tank Police, especially in Part 1, where the bad guys use a weapon called the Ultimate Deterrent, which is really one big sexual phallic symbol if you haven't watched it before. But you can actually find this on YouTube, the English dub. And if anybody hasn't seen this before, because it came out at a very obscure time, in 1989, and the English dub came out in 1992, I highly recommend it because it came out during a time in which I really adore anime, late 1980s, early 1990s, and it's always remained one of my personal favorites. I thought all the English voice cast was perfect for like every one of the characters, and I always got to sit down and watch this, every once in a while. I will never get rid of these VHS tapes ever. because they're a testament to how anime really helped define my interests. And it's just really enjoyable, really funny, incredibly action packed, and you'll find something to laugh about it as well, because it is quite funny. And I just love this. I love this anime, and it really means a lot to me, and I doubt there will be another anime come out that would take this spot as my favorites, because if it really wasn't for this anime, I wouldn't love anime for as much as I do. So anyway, guys, those are some of my favorite anime of all time, the VHS edition. These are the only anime VHS tapes that I own, and I probably will ever own. I'm never going to get rid of these. I even keep a VCR around, you know, just in case if I want to watch them again. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope this has taught you a little bit about my anime tastes. So anyway, guys, as always, take care, and I wish you nothing but the best. And in closing, guys, I'll provide the ending credits, in which it has one of my favorite anime music tracks of all time. So as always, take care.
To the end of time.